This is Cheryl Manley from Sharing Love of Paper. I'm so glad you could join me today. Today I'm sharing layouts I made using the Turtle-y Sweet Scrapbooking Workshop Kit by Stampin' Up. Please remember their images are copyright Stampin' Up. Before I get started, understand that cartoony turtles are not my thing. However, this kit is available at such a good price right now in the last chance sale that I gave it a second look. I realized I didn't have to use all the cutesy stuff in the kit to get some great layouts. I really like the scrapbooking workshop kits because they take so much less time and work to make scrapbook pages. In this video, I'll show you how I took these cutesy layouts and adapted them to my own use, creating 4 double-page layouts in one day. I'm not going to walk you through the creation of each page, but will share my thought process and the end results. When I looked at these layouts, I saw 3 basic themes. This first layout is about the great outdoors. This layout is about a birthday, and this layout is about the beach. So I thought, okay, what activities did we do recently that could work with those themes and colors? I went looking through my photos for time spent outdoors. For birthday pictures, I particularly looked for a kid's birthday, though with her permission I'll show a second example made by a friend that used pictures from an adult's birthday. And then beach. The first thing I found was for the Great Outdoors spread. I found these pictures of a camping trip we took with family. I have so many pictures I want to use. These pictures are about a hike we took, and then these pictures are about our campsite. I immediately realized that they would be better as 2 layouts, and as I looked at this layout, I realized I could really stretch the papers, since a lot of the background paper is totally covered. I could gut that and use that paper for a second layout. Similarly with these papers, a lot is totally covered, and I could gut those as well. In fact, as I looked at the layout, I decided I really didn't like having the stripes horizontal on one page and vertical on the other. I would really prefer to have them run the same direction across both pages. And I realized that rather than using a huge chunk of 2 papers, I could simply cut strips from one paper to use on both pages in the layout to get a similar effect. That would leave an entire paper to use for a second layout. So I've decided that I'll use the hiking pictures for this layout. I'll save the campsite photos for the second layout. I'll use a flip-flap for this bottom photo, and the layout will then be pretty much the same. But first I wanted to make sure the colors of the pictures would work okay with this layout, so I brought in the papers. I haven't cut them yet because I want to save paper for the second layout as I do that. I punched out the pre-cut images but don't have the stickers yet. As I look at these pictures with these, I think that will work quite well. So there are 2 of these pages to use for the background, and I'm going to cut a good share of it out. That will give me a lot of paper for a second layout. Similarly with this, there were 2 papers, one cut that way and one cut that way. I'll just cut 4 strips from this and I'll have an entire sheet of paper to use for the second page. I also have the set of cardstock that coordinates with this kit, so I know I'll have extra cardstock if I need it. Moving on to the second layout, I found these pictures of my niece's birthday. You'll notice that though I have 4 pictures, one is landscape mode instead of portrait, but I think I can easily work with that. You can see that these easily fit on a 12 by 12 page, so I'm sure I can figure it out. I was a little concerned because there was so much pink in her little swimsuit, and there was red in the layout. I didn't know if that would work. But when I pulled the papers, I realized there actually were red tones in her swimsuit that were enhanced by the papers. I think in the end it will coordinate well. For the third layout, we went to a lake. This was on that same camping trip. Here again, I figure I can use a flip-flap for the large photo. This is horizontal instead of vertical, but I should be able to make that work. Once again, when I bring in the papers, I see the yellow will really pull out the focal, and I think these will work really well. Now I'll go ahead, cut things out, saving what paper I can, and then put these layouts together. I'll be back to show you the finished products. I'm back with my completed layouts, and you'll see that though I kept the basics, I made several changes. Let me just bring up their picture to compare. Looking at their title, I cut the word turtle-y out of that, but left the sweet, realizing it was indeed a sweet hike. I moved the binoculars over here, didn't use the turtle, but did use the compass. I didn't use the too cute sticker. I did use this bird, but I colored it red with a marker and brought it over here. This piece and this piece came from the Weekend Adventures scrapbooking workshop kit that I completed some time ago. Look back through my videos to find where I did those. I had these pieces left over and thought they went really well. Then I added this piece of red up here. I just really wanted 3 spots of red on this page to help draw the eye around the page. I also did gut what I could from each of these, as I discussed earlier. Here is my second page. You can see I've used my flip-flap for that one. Once again, I made some changes. The event I was portraying wasn't a cutesy type event. The kids were older, so it didn't make sense to me to have those cutesy turtles. But I realized I could cut the turtle off and still have this great signpost for my page. I glued it to a piece of white and fussy cut around it so it would still have that white border that everything else had. You can see I added the bird and these words pretty much the way they had them. I again wanted a bit more red on the page, so decided to map my journaling piece. So there are the 2 pages of that layout. Next up is this one. Ordinarily, I wouldn't put a focal on this side of the page when the main subject would be facing out of the page, but I wanted the pictures across the 2 pages to be in chronological order. She blew out her candles and we did the cake before she opened her presents and changed into her cute dress. It helps that she's really looking down rather than out of the page, but I also moved this photo over as far as I could, and these balloons form a sort of visual barrier to keep us from feeling that she's headed off the page. As you can see, the page is quite similar to the original. I didn't add the word celebrate here, and I matted this photo with red to draw the eye. I didn't want the turtle, so moved the title over a bit. You can see that even without using the cutesy turtles, I still have a nice layout. This page is also similar. Because this photo was in landscape orientation, instead of using the banners as they did, I just hung them like that. This too cute was left over from the first set of layouts, and I thought it worked great here. And the word celebrate they had over there, I moved down here. And I moved the cake up to there. So that's what I changed on this layout. Next up, this is another page where I added a flip-flap so that I can have more pictures. It will open like that when I get it in the album. This is just an adhesive strip that will attach to the page protector when I get it in the album. So let's look at the differences here. First, I switched pages, making the right page my left page. I did end up using one of the turtle pieces, though not the one they had here. I just thought this turtle fit my focal subject so well, and the playful tone was right for these pictures. We weren't in palm tree country, so I didn't think this other one was a good choice for the page. You can see I added some strips of red in several spots. I just wanted more red to tie in with the title. And I wanted something for the turtle to stand on so he wasn't just floating around in the sky. This time, I double matted my focal photo, a yellow mat, and then a red mat. So basically, I just added a few things on that page. Here's the companion page. I again added red. I wasn't sure that I wanted this sentiment, swimming through summer, because we were only there for the weekend. I'll talk to you about that in a minute. Obviously, this turtle had already been used on the previous page, and I didn't want the sand castle because this wasn't a sandy beach, more like gravel. I did go ahead and use the beach ball, but I put it up here. You can see that I changed this area. First, I matted everything with red. I also cut this patterned paper piece a bit larger to fit better with my lower landscape photo. I rearranged the placement of the tabs because of the colors and placement of the photos. I had gone ahead and gutted a large section of this paper, and I was so glad I did, because I decided I wanted a piece of it behind this photo. Then I was kind of stuck for a moment because the page needed more embellishments, and there really wasn't anything else in the kit that I felt went with the page. So I went looking for ideas. I remembered the waterside retreat cards I had made recently, and thought maybe I could use something from those papers and the coordinating stamps and dies. I fussy cut this fish from the paper and made a fussy cut white mat for it to help it blend in. Since the guy in the kayak was fishing, I thought it might be fun to put the fish here like it was getting away. Suddenly, I liked the words there. The fish wasn't caught and was able to continue swimming through the summer. I fussy cut these life rings from the paper, thought they went reasonably well. Then I stamped and die cut the grass and birds from the coordinating stamp and die set called Relaxing Waterside. After I glued the grasses in place, I wished I hadn't, because they don't seem to go as well with the feel of the rest of the page, but it was too late to change that. I think it might have looked better if I had just focused on the life rings, moving them more to the center. Anyway, those are the changes I made in that layout. Because of the way I extended the center photos, I didn't need as much on the sides of the lower photo, but needed more between the upper photos. So that's how I adapted the 3 projects from the kit. As you could see, I was able to use their layouts fairly closely, even though I didn't go for the cutesy turtles. These pages came together so quickly. Now for my extra layout. I found a sketch in one of the sketchbooks I had purchased from the creative design team and decided to use it. This green and this stripe came from the paper I saved from the kit, but in looking at my photos I decided I really wanted some blue to go with them, blueberry bushel to be exact. I went into my stash and found this set of Regal's 6x6 papers from a couple of years back and decided those papers would work well. The sketch didn't call for the second layer of wider matting in the photos, but I felt the busy background required it. And of course I rearranged things to suit my photos. I really like the way the page turned out. I knew what I wanted for a title, but didn't have alphabet cutting dies or stamps in the size I wanted to make it happen. So I created the title on my computer and then fussy cut it after printing it out. Then I needed embellishments. I went looking through my stash. I came up with these trees made using the discontinued Frosted Forest masks and Frosted Forest dies. There were matching stamps, but they were already gone when I bought these, and I think my trees look fine without them. I wanted some rocks so that my trees weren't just hanging out in the middle of nowhere. I found them in the Utterly Amazing die set, again a discontinued set from my stash. I die cut these from gray granite paper and then inked them for a more 3D look. The words Camping Life was a leftover sticker from that Weekend Adventures kit, and I just printed my journaling block on my computer. So there is my additional layout. 4 double-page layouts done really quickly using this kit, even though cutesy turtles weren't what I wanted my pages to be about. I did want to just quickly show you the second birthday layout. Here's my birthday layout to compare. This one was made by my niece using the same kit. She was documenting her grandmother's 75th birthday. She had a lot of pictures she wanted to use, and she wanted to make her pages 8 by 8 instead of 12 by 12. Here's what she came up with. The pictures are arranged differently to accommodate all the pictures she wanted to use, and she even managed to fit those large title pieces on the smaller page without it looking crowded. Here are the close-ups. I hope you've enjoyed this video and will choose me, Cheryl Manley, as your demonstrator when you purchase any Stampin' Up! Products. It won't cost you any extra, and I'll get a small commission to help support my channel. If you click that thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already done so, you'll make my day. Thanks, and have a great one.